a ban on El Kanemi Warriors. But from all of that, to take a look at stories from the European scene, we saw a game go down in the Premier League yesterday. Manchester United against Leeds United. We take a look at how things panned out at the end of the day. Well, Leeds, by the way, are still looking to get a new coach, and loads of coaches have turned down an offer to coach the Premier League side. We'll talk about the Club World Cup. We saw yesterday Real Madrid booking a place in the final of the competition, defeating Al Ahly 4-1, and they're next to face Odioni Gallos Al Hilal in the final of the competition coming up later on Saturday. We'll talk about transfers as well. The European Super League conversation is back again, and right now we'll take you through the latest plans by the organizers of the Super League and what they want to do with the Super League. Talk about some transfer stories this afternoon. We'll take a look at Manchester City and the latest from there. Well, it's been conversation since Monday how they've been charged with breaching 100 FFP rules, and right now there's a latest story from there. Is it light at the end of the tunnel for City? We'd know. We'll talk about these and so much more on the show this afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to the conglomeration of football fans. It's live and typically on the frequency, Planet Radio 101.1 FM, every day, Mondays through Fridays, 3 to 4 p.m. We come here and we talk about the biggest stories. By the way, my name is Marision and I'm reporting for GT this afternoon. By the way, you can always be a part of the conversation. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. And you have a chance to be a part of the show. On Wednesday, El Kanemi will also ordered to play the remaining home matches of the first half of the season behind closed doors. The statement reads that the El Kanemi Warriors team failed to provide adequate and effective security, which led to the destruction of the camera tripod of the away team and disagreements prior to the resumption of the second half. El Kanemi Warriors were thus fined 500,000 naira for failure to provide adequate and effective security, 2,500 naira for being a compensatory package rather to the Bendel Insurance coach Monday Odege. They've also been ordered to replace the damaged camera tripod of Bendel Insurance, and these and many more just as sanctions meted on El Kanemi Warriors after their March 5 encounter. Leading just the conversation right now, the High Chief, good afternoon, by the way, welcome to the show. Talking about the story, and the IMC prior to the start of the season talked a lot about trying to bring back professionalism, sanity to the league, and so far so good. We've seen two teams after 6 match days get the hammer of the IMC. Now, what I'm particular about this conversation is the fact that the IMC clearly stated that El Kanemi Warriors failed to provide adequate and effective security, meaning that there can be adequate security but not effective. It brings back the story of Bayelsa United, brought in 35 policemen, but still, there was violence in the stadium. So what do you make of this particular sanction by the IMC, and of course, how would it act as deterrent to other clubs who would be looking to maybe fall under this particular hammer?
Well, first of all, I want to say I like the part that says adequate and effective, because you're not supposed to bring policemen to the stadium to protect the citizens and the fans, and they turn out being the fans watching the game instead of doing their job. I understand it could be difficult, especially when the intensity is high in a football match, but first job is for them to do the job, protect the citizens, just like the case that happened at Bayelsa United. It was that situation. Bayelsa United came out to say, we provided 35 policemen beyond the 30 you required. but it didn't make any sense because it wasn't effective.
Yeah.
Is it? The referee, the assistant referee was beaten, was attacked. So the essence of having the policeman didn't make any sense. Right now, I love what's happening. I remember some time ago, we had a conversation, Mari, that I said, come on, let's support Benga-led IMC because something is looking different the way they were talking and speaking at a time. And I've seen it. It's really looking different in the Nigerian perspective.
Well,
Islam is up and it's good and it's deterrent to the rest. Anybody that does not provide security and safety of the fans, safety of the referees in the stadium, you already know what you will be mated at. You're going to deduct point from you. You won't play at home because that's the sequence. That's it right now. El Kanemi Warriors are not going to play at home at least till the end of the first phase of this competition. And it's that serious.
All right. Well, I'm safe to say that the IMC is cooking. Chirosuk Bengan, of course, his chase of bringing back sanity to the league. But elsewhere, apart from the El Kanemi story, the IMC also rejected fixture adjustment request from 3 clubs, Lobby Stars, Eyimba, and the Abia Warriors. The body explained that there was a need to maintain the fidelity of fixtures, particularly, and avoid fixture congestion in the future. Lobby Stars sought to reschedule their match, the 7th fixture against Dakar, while Abia Warriors also requested to shift requested a shifting date for the game against Wiki Toys. Eyimba requested a change in date for their match, the 8th game against Shooting Stars. Abia Warriors were consequently directed to host Wiki Toys at the Eyimba International Stadium in Aba on the same day, just as Lobby Stars were advised to make adequate arrangements to play the match day 7 game on the scheduled date of February 11. Shooting Stars and Abia Warriors had their 3 weeks ultimatum to improve the condition of the playing pitch of the stadiums before the end of the first half of the season. Well, Blyden, that's also a conversation because we are moving towards professionalizing. We're gliding towards where our league would be fit enough to be shown on TV. Yeah. And one of the reasons why we've suffered, our league not being on TV is the quality of our playing turfs. And I like that the IMC has also charged these teams to make sure that their playing pitches and of course the stadium overall is up to standard.
Yeah, I love what's happening. IMC are working, if you have to use I in this case or is in this case, whatever, but they're working. That's a good part.
Well, the committee is working.
Yes, the committee is working. That's a good thing about it.
Yeah.
Well, here's it. Let me start from the conversation of scheduled fixtures because it's quite concerning. I don't know why teams are looking for changing their fixtures. Enyimba Football Club being part of that makes doing that. Because you begin to change fixtures for one team, it means you have to use the same measure for the other team. It might just end up having a situation where IMC ends up changing fixtures every week because a team feels they can't meet up on time. They want to change fixtures.
But
it doesn't make sense.
Here's the thing. Here's a concern, particularly Abia Warriors. They are supposed to use the Umahia Township Stadium, but the stadium has been deemed not fit. So far, so they've been sharing the stadium with Eyimba. Right now, Eyimba have got a game on that same day. Right, so it's a case of who plays first, who plays second, and all of that. So it boils down to the quality of our playing turfs. If the Umahia Township Stadium was good enough, that would be Abia Warriors' home. That's a national home. That's a natural home stadium, particularly. But the story is that it's not deemed fit. So it brings back the conversation of teams should make sure that they renovate their pitches and make it good enough for the league.
Absolutely. The two of them get to play on the same day. This one plays first, and after this one. That's basically it. Probably the owner of the pitch gets to play first. So if you not develop your own stadium, you have to suffer the max that comes with it.
But that also brings a financial conversation to all of this because you need money, to renovate and, of course, make these pitches and the stadiums good enough.
These clubs are state-owned clubs, most of them.
That's the thing. That's a conversation, Blyden.
And they have to develop that stadium. That's it, Mari. They have to develop the stadium. The states are funded. They have money. The moment you venture into it and decide that you want to run a football club, if you don't want it, you have to take it to standard. If you don't want it, then don't run a football club. It's just like saying, oh, we're just having players. We don't want to pay the players to standard because we're a state-owned club. It doesn't work that way. If you want to run a football club, then run a football club the way it ought to be. Otherwise, lease it, create a partnership with private sectors, and get to see how you'll be supported getting the result. But so far, so good. I love what IMC are doing, and they're warning a lot of clubs. Shooting Stars of Ibadan being part of that mix.
Yeah.
You have to prepare. You have to take care of your stadium. Let your stadium be worthy of TV. Right. Remember, if you're driving a car, they say this car is not roadworthy. Some of the stadiums we have are not TV worthy.
Nice. So the IMC have posted a no-nonsense attitude, and of course, this is what we need in our league right now to take it to the next level. What Abia Warriors, by the way, have been professionally permitted to continue to use the Umahia Township Stadium. for the remainder of the first stanza of the season. Subsequently, the ground would be evaluated to decide if it met the club license infrastructure requirements. The Nassau United also got approval to return to the new Jos Township Stadium for the remaining fixtures of the season, with warning that further requests for a venue change could not be entertained. Nasarawa will thus host Kwara United in Jos for their matchday 7 fixture this weekend. A lot to talk about from the home scene, but one key feature is the fact that the IMC have been working. Well, Blighty, let's talk about something else. The under-20 coach, talk about Coach Lanham Bosso, has released a list of 25 players that would leave the country today to Morocco, where the team would finalize preparations for the under-20 AFCON. The 20 AFCON, by the way, the team would leave Abuja later today for Morocco to continue preparations for the under-20 AFCON coming up in Egypt later this particular year. While in Morocco, the team will play 2 friendly games before Lanham Bosso would announce the final list of players to execute the competition proper. Of course, it's a long list of 25 players called up to travel to Morocco, but one key name stands out: Daniel Daga. Dakar Football Club formerly won Rockets, if I'm not mistaken, and he's been called up to this squad. Now travel to Morocco to continue preparations for the under-20 AFCON coming up in Egypt later this particular year. Face Senegal in the first game of the CAF organized tournament in the 19th of February. And of course, they would also take on Egypt and Mozambique in the other group games. Nigeria, by the way, in Group A with Egypt, Mozambique, and Senegal. We hope that the boys go there and bring back the goodies. But let's move away from there. Blighty, let's talk about something. Ademola Lookman insisted that he made the right decision to choose Nigeria over England. Lookman, who was born in southwest London to Nigerian parents, represented England at youth level. The explosive winger was a part of the England under-20 team that won the 2017 FIFA under-20 World Cup, and also progressed to the under-21 team where he made 11 appearances and scored just 1 goal. He's 25 right now, turned down the chance to play for the Super Eagles twice before finally deciding to play for Nigeria. And the FIFA granted his request to play for Super Eagles on the 10th of February 2022. Tomorrow makes it just a year since he decided to play for Nigeria. But look at this particular man, Blighty. What do you make of his performance so far, so good with the national team? Ademola Lookman.
Well, I think he's had his time with the national team just quite early. Not enough to assess, because I think he's not been to the national team up to 5 years yet.
Just 1 year.
Exactly. Just came into the Super Eagles, and he's not really had decent tournament, not gone to the Nations Cup yet. I think the Nations Cup will be the measure to see how good he is. That's where we assess big players, and a tournament like that, we get to assess if you're good enough to be a Nigerian legend moving forward. Because it's not enough to just play friendly matches or qualifiers and have some decent games. It's the tough games that determine who you are. But I think he made a good decision playing for Nigeria. Because here's the thing. You look at the English squad, lots of good players are there from black decent countries who are not having opportunities to play, apart from probably Saka, who's playing for Arsenal these days and playing for the English national team. The rest of them quite struggling. Tammy Abraham, Tomori, the names are endless. So at some point you realize it's not enough to play for your club. You have to identify with a country and play. And no better place to be an African man who plays for a black nation, the most populous black nation in the world, Nigeria. Yes, things have not really gone well. But I look at some of the Super Eagles players who came to play for Nigeria. Victor Moses at a time. The moment he stopped playing for Nigeria, retired, guess what? His career went on a downward spiral. And it goes to show the importance of a national team. It teaches you different level of football, African football, different culture, basically. Grew up in England, but I believe he's learned a lot playing with the Super Eagles. And no wonder his stocks are high these days with Atlanta.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about him in Atalanta so far. So with 12 goals in 20 games in the Serie A. You know, he sits second in the highest goal scorers list right now, just by his record bettered by his compatriot Victor Osimhen. But looking at this particular man and the fact that, you know, Nigeria right now, we've got a large pool of attacking talent at the national team level. So where would you rank Lookman Ademola in the list of top-class talents we have from Nigeria?
Well, he's up there, especially when he win the Under-17 championship. We understand, though he won it with England. He's up there, quality talent. I can't really fix it in terms of numbers, position. I wouldn't be able to do that. But I think if you want to mention 5 quality players from Nigeria who play in the trade in Europe, then you have to put Ademola Lookman somewhere. Especially with the records he's got at Atlanta, scoring a number of goals at Serie A. And I love the fact that he's really developed his football. Before now, he was basically just a winger who runs and crosses the ball. Now he's basically this winger who gets to score goals and is adding up the numbers.
Yeah.
The only thing is turning up for the Super Eagles. I remember having that conversation before the friendly against Portugal. And I did say the likes of them won't get to score goals against Portugal because it would be a difficult terrain. I want to see Ademola Lookman not just be the runner. I saw him against Ghana. We couldn't qualify to the World Cup, was substituted. I want to see Ademola Lookman turn up for Nigeria and turn up what he's doing at Atlanta. Come do for the Super Eagles. Let's know that you are going to be a legend of the Super Eagles moving forward.
Oh, definitely. Ademola Lookman particularly, well, he stated that he decided to join the national team because of the quality that he saw and he envisaged in Nigeria. Forward to seeing how this man becomes a key and critical part of the national team going forward. He's just 25 and there's a lot to be expected from this particular young man. We'll talk about the national team. The Super Eagles of Nigeria would face Guinea-Bissau in Morocco. They were supposed to play this game in Morocco, but in Guinea-Bissau rather, but the stadiums at Guinea-Bissau failed to meet the standard set by CAF, and CAF have directed Guinea-Bissau to play their home games in faraway Morocco. Nigeria would travel to Morocco to take on Guinea-Bissau on Thursday, 23rd March 2023, and the reverse fixture of that game will take place at the MK Abiola Stadium in Abuja 4 days later. It's a qualification game for the African 2023. Well, let's talk about one more striker before we travel to Europe. His name is Folarin Balogun. He's been quite fantastic. Yeah. An Arsenal loanee. He's traveled to Reims in France, has been doing a fantastic job leading the goal scorers charts right now. And the latest stories we're getting is that Mikel Arteta is set to bring the man back to Arsenal and wants him to, in his words, fight for his place. Now, looking at the attacking options at Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus obviously out, and then the goal scoring burden was put on the youngster Edin Ketia, and he sparkled 9 goals he scored for Arsenal, which is becoming a key figure for the team. Now, Folarin Balogun, youngster who's doing a fantastic job in France, and maybe in the summer might get some big bids from big clubs to come into. What would you advise this young man rather? Stay at Reims, get a good offer, or come back to Arsenal and fight for your place?
Well, no better place for a striker to play ought to be Arsenal. They're decent these days. That's what I said. But the competition will be up there. And you can't be a better player without competition. That's basically the way it is. You need that competition to show class. Show us why you're good. But I love the fact that he's got an opportunity and he showed these performances with the opportunities got at Reims. I was listening to the Reims president in recent times say, well, they can't stop Balogun the way it is with the performances had in the French League on. 14 league goals so far, leading the likes of Kylian Mbappe and all the stars at Paris Saint-Germain. He's scoring a lot of goals and moving forward. Definitely you expect Arsenal to bring him back and he gets to fight for shit. I really hope that it works for him because sometimes it can be quite difficult and cumbersome for young players to go through these battles with some of the established players. But he's a decent player and I think he has a beautiful, beautiful future ahead of him. The big concern would be, where will he play for? Will he choose the Super Eagles ahead of England?
But that's also a conversation.
Ahead of the US?
That's just a conversation, Blyden, because lately, he's eligible to play for 3 countries.
Yeah.
England, Nigeria, and the USA.
Yeah.
And according to the reports of getting, the USA have told him that he should dump England, dump Nigeria, that he's going to play for the USA. So he had a chance to advise his youngster. Well, all 3 teams have got, an attraction. For Nigeria, it's a chance to play with the top attackers. For England, it's a chance at European football as much as possible. But for the US, I don't know the attraction for the US, but what would you advise this young man to go to?
Oh, Mary, it's difficult. It seemed like being in an exam hall and they say you have to answer 4 questions instead of 5. I really like to skip this one. Here's it, because it's difficult from my standpoint. I'm in Nigeria, so somehow, somewhat, I love him to play for Nigeria.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, I don't want to look like someone who's not patriotic. Because you put Nigeria side by side with US, there are certain advantages you get playing for the US. For England in particular also, there are certain advantages you get to play ahead of Nigeria. But Nigeria will be a decent one for him.
Oh, barely have seen a striker, of Nigerian descent go to England and sparkle. It's been a long time. Because Saka is just the exception. But from Tammy Abraham, it goes way back to Agbonlaho Gabriel, to Amelbi brother and all of that. But none of them have been able to sparkle for the English national team. So you think that Folarin Balogun rather should look at those kind of indices and decide to join Nigeria?
Well, I think it could be quite difficult for him with England. England's such a difficult side great pool of players. Yeah. We're talking about the likes of Hurricane still being part of that mix. Young players coming on. Rashford also, such quality. And you never can tell which other young player will be given opportunity ahead of you who seem like, how do I describe it, an immigrant in that country. One word or the other, because no matter how you want to look at it, that's how it seems like. But on the other hand, I think I'll prefer US. I look at US, decent side, quite open. You go there, they're appreciative of blacks. You go there, you have a good opportunity to play. In the long run, the competition there isn't that huge compared to even sometimes Nigeria. Nigeria might have more competition in the team than US. So from that standpoint, it could be a good place to start from, the US.
Well, 14 goals rather is the number. This man has scored 4 Rams this season at the Ligue 1. He's set to return to Arsenal at the end of his loan stint this summer. And there are stories that Mikel Arteta would want him to stay at Arsenal. This man has gone on loan to several clubs. Was on loan at Middlesbrough just last season before he left to Rams. He went there and sparkled with loads of goals. So looking forward to seeing how he performs and, of course, where he chooses to pitch his tent as national team duty. So we hit the breaks here. When we come back, we'll talk about the stories from the European scene. We talk Manchester United and the performance yesterday against Leeds. Did they have any business considering 2 goals in that game? We'll talk about that and so much more after this short time. Please stick around. We'll be right back.
The Football Fans Friday is officially here. All the biggest football fans
System training about it and my journey of personal development. I said, not everybody, you can't change everybody. You can't be there for everybody. I used to have this feeling that I would always change everybody. I must do everything for everybody. But in my journey, I found out that no matter how much you give, no matter how much you
the near post. Melier was at full stretch, and the Argentine just couldn't find the target. Ooh, great tackle. Yeah. Brad might have hurt himself, but here come United. Round the goalkeeper. Fantastic from Leeds United. The header is brilliant. It's Marcus Rashford. He reaches the 20-goal mark already in this season of six. Sancho, Shaw, Luke Shaw, Sancho. He's back. Jadon Sancho.
Took the lead in the first minutes. Wilfred Nonto, youngster, scored a superb, fantastic strike. And of course, the Leeds doubled the lead through an own goal courtesy of Rafa Varane. But in the second half, the team came back. First goal, Marcus Rashford scored to pull one back for United. And Jadon Sancho, in his return from a psychological dark place, scored the equalizer for United. What did you make of the game yesterday, Blyden?
Well, It was a thriller, just as I expected. Did talk about it yesterday. There's going to be a difficult game if you go either way. Because you look at Leeds United, they seem like wounded lions. All things not working for them at the moment. Lost their manager. Some of the players not given opportunity. For the first time in a long while, we saw 2 Americans start the game for them. Not often you get to see that. Tyler Adams and McKennie doing that in that one game. But it made sense. It had to be Nanto for me. Quality player, drifted from the wing and quite fast. I remember you said in the morning he was close to gravity. But here's the thing about it. Such quality player. It was a turn in the flesh to the midfield and the defense of Manchester United. First goal, Bruno Fernandes with the ball and bundled off the ball, and Nanto took it. Bam, it's a goal. Early minute, I think that was the motivation for Leeds United. And what I didn't like about Leeds United yesterday was the fact that they couldn't sustain momentum. The moment they come into the second half, it was the same thing. First 3 minutes, they scored. Disappointing from a Leeds point of view because you look at history. In the 80s was the last time they were able to beat Manchester United at United. For a second, it seemed like it was going to happen, reliving the moment, but it never happened. But great performance from Manchester United, that comeback. Marcus Rashford for me, decent striker. He's just turned into another element under Eric Ten Hag. And Eric Ten Hag, if there's some, I always talk about Eric Ten Hag hacking the league, but I think he did hack Marcus Rashford and get the best out of him. 6 consecutive goals in the Premier League. This speak for him. 11 goals in the Premier League so far. His 20th this season. That's such quality. And Sancho, decent player coming back to bank a goal.
The ball was the first mistake. Deal with the ball. We are good football players. But also make sure that we are playing in the right formation. There was a problem with the first goal. And it was the wrong position for one player. And then second, win your battles, and then it's not possible to
Well, Manchester United manager Eric Ten Hag talking yesterday after the game and saying that United should have won the battles, that they considered those goals so easily. Well, Blyden, in the build up to the game yesterday, was expected to be smooth sailing for United because you compared the both both teams. Leeds United was struggling, had their coach sacked, they were going through a lot. But United were comfortable. At that game, they already had 13-game unbeaten run at Old Trafford, so they were expected to ride over Leeds United, but it wasn't smooth sailing for United at the end of the day.
Well, here's the thing about it. When you fall, you fear no fall. That was basically for Leeds United. They had nothing to lose. Come in, prove a point. You have no manager at this moment. It's just moment players have to do what they have to do. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. And that was basically it. They did the job as far as I'm concerned. But I think the bulk of the job would be looking at Manchester United's midfield, the midfield structure. Who was missing? What was the difference? Not having 3 solid midfielders who are supposed to be part of that mix, being part of it. That was a consequence. Not a decent transition from United moving forward from midfield to attack. For me, that was a slow point. But on the other hand, too, I think in recent times he's not really worked with Vegas, where he starts game for Manchester United.
We'll talk about with Vegas. Before we talk about Vegas, Blyden, look at United. Yesterday the top 4 clubs might be licking their lips after United considered, those 2 goals. They'll be thinking, well, this is a chance to get themselves back on track. But did it show that United have got that mental fortitude and togetherness in the spirit to come back? And of course, from that 2-0 deficit, play 2-2, and even almost won the game at the death of time.
Well, I think it was a good comeback because it would have been so disappointing for the fans. Look, you're playing at home. You have to do something about it. That's why I always praise the likes of Rashford. His mentality is so hungry these days, and it makes a lot of sense. But I look at United's point of view. One of the issues with United has been the system they play. That's the problem in football when you're playing just one system. You can't tweak the system, especially when you have a decent attacker in being part of that mix. For me, that was basically it, but you could see the hunger from the players. Everyone wants to play. Disappointingly, the likes of Ganucho couldn't play quite well in the first half, was substituted, and I was quite impressed with the midfielder Sabitzer. I think he's trying to settle down in the club. Not the biggest of physical problems he brought to the game, but in terms of quality, the passing ability, I think it was quite decent, especially with that first equalizer. He led the ball before the pass that led to Rashford scoring the goal.
Wood Vegas, Blyden, he came in as through the recommendations of Eric Ten Hag. Yeah. But it looks like this man slows down United because he gives them nothing moving forward. He just sits there and waits for everybody else to hustle the ball and bring to him. And United, when they play like that, they look toothless. Now, look at the scenario yesterday. It was when it was taken off. They brought in likes of Sancho that United got some attacking verve and attacking, bites particularly. So what do you make of this man's performance for United so far so good? And would he ever be integral for United this season, anytime this season?
Well, for me, I wouldn't want to blame the man, the Vegas, but he's affected the system the way he plays. But here's the problem. Always look at the coach, because I did ask a question when he was to be signed. Why are you signing him? Look at the system United are playing these days. They can tweak the system where they bring him on. He's a decent player. He could nod in the ball for you, but you have to tweak the system to favor him. They're not putting him in the crosses. How do you expect him to score? He's not a winger. And your biggest element, who's Marcus Rashford, here's what he does. When Vegas starts the game up front, he pushes Rashford to the wing. So Rashford these days doesn't know if he's a winger or an attacker. I think he prefers to be the attacker. And when he moves into the attacking zone, he's more dangerous. So here's the thing. The way United plays these days doesn't suit with a striker like his. That was the same issue we talked about Cristiano Ronaldo. And replacing a typical like of Cristiano Ronaldo these days in Vegas. And the struggle continues when he plays, because he slows them in. They don't get quick inside the box and play those quick swift ball from the midfield to the top. And that's basically it.
Of course, United through the draw yesterday, still to third position, 43 points garnered so far from 22 games in the Premier League. 2 points behind the Manchester City in second, and 7 points behind league leaders Arsenal. Let's take your calls in right now. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Hello, good afternoon, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, Brother James. I'm Loudon in the studio.
Welcome. It's Arizona.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
This is Pastor Chief Sylvester calling in from Oyo. Although I cannot hear you, but I believe you are hearing me. I'm a Manchester United fan. I want to say that the match yesterday was a very intense match. We know any team that lose that sack their coach, even the interim coach will want to prove a point. Take example from the game of Everton and Arsenal. I told somebody that the new coach will want to prove a point, and he actually proved a point. So that was what happened to Manchester United. Manchester United has
they don't have a coach, they have an interim manager
at home, so they didn't want to break that record. I want to appreciate God that at least we show the sport, so it's better than losing. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. Leeds United have no coach yet to have an interim caretaker manager who was in charge of the game yesterday. Thank you very much. Victor, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, the Arizona.
The Victor, welcome.
I'm Clarence, sorry, my brother. It is me, Victor. Arizona, let me talk about my team, Chelsea. Things are really going on now. It is only Manchester City who have issues with the England. So when issues arise, and it's always difficult for people to know the right way to go. So we must judge on the record and the performance. So for my team, Chelsea, I believe that Chelsea, ground bottom must do is best for him to maintain Chelsea for the weekend game, because what I really want from the team is for him to take Chelsea to where they are, to a good position. I still wish my team Chelsea to go. That's my take.
Thank you very much, Victor. Your thoughts well appreciated. Well, Blyden, we'll talk about the Club World Cup. Real Madrid have found their way into the final of the competition. But Africa's quest for a third Club World Cup final appearance ended after European champions Real Madrid beat Egypt's Al Ahly forward. We'll talk about this game after this call. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. You can add some energy, please. Your name and location.
This is Ivy calling from Ikotopene.
All right, go ahead.
I like the way coming back from 2 days down. I hope they keep improving.
All right, thank you very much. Well, Africa's quest for a third Club World Cup final appearance ended as Real Madrid defeated Al Ahly forward in the semi-final on Wednesday. Yesterday, Al Ahly's well-organized defense capitulated as Vinicius Junior opened the score in 3 minutes before halftime, with Federico Valverde doubling the lead just after the break. The Red Devils competed well after the half-hour mark, but the pressure paid off when Edouard Camavinga tripped Hussein El Shahat inside the box. Tunisia's Ali Malone tucked away the penalty to make it 2-1 in the 65th minute. Al Ahly had their moments during the frenetic second period, but Real Madrid were just dominant. Rodrigo and Sergio Arribas put things out of the place, out of the way for Ali, and made sure of the win in stoppage time with 2 sublime efforts. Real Madrid would face Al Hilal in the final of the competition, and it would be a chance for Odioni Gallo to get that title in. That's if they defeat Real Madrid. Ahly Bale will play Flamengo for the 3rd place playoff, and Real Madrid, like I told you, would face Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal in the competition. Ahly Bale, Africa's most decorated team and one of the world's most successful, and they've been regulars in the last 4 of the Club World Cup. We'll talk about the final appearance. Well, Blyden, here's a shocking story. Man City and the breaches of FFP rules. We told there's a commission, in charge of investigating if all of those breaches were all of those charges, were confirmed. Now, the story is that it will take 4 years to find out if City are guilty or not. We'll talk about that after this batch of calls. Good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome. All right.
I think we need to have another coach, an experienced coach, to replace Graham Potter. Then Kevin will be good to go. I like all the signings, and very soon, Kevin will want the most dangerous team in the world. So we are good to go, and I still have feelings that Kevin will go with the Champions League trophy for this season.
All right. Thank you very much. Joe Blyden, most football fans were expecting that the sanction basically and whatever punishment we meted out to City will be done in the next coming days. But right now, the lawyers are saying it will take 4 years to properly investigate all of the 100 breaches and come out to the sanction. Well, this should be delightful for Pep Guardiola and the boys, because at least this season they still have a chance.
Well, when Pep was asked about it, he said the next match he'll be there, and he said that even the next he'll be there. The Manchester games in the Champions League, he'll be there.
Maybe he knew.
But here's the thing about it. In the long run, what's wrong will be found out if it's true. That's basically it for me. I think in the coming days we'll get to find out more. But 4 years, I think 4 years is too long to get an answer to this. I do not know where the sources of these are coming from.
It took 4 years to even reach, to charge City. Because the investigation was on a 4-year period, before the Premier League had to come out with some concrete evidence that City have been charged right now. So it take another 4 years. So I think
I think it's just a perspective. In the long run, we'll get to find out more about it. And who knows what could happen. It could be the coming year. It could be this month. But at least we could start somewhere. You don't have to get all the answers at once. Let's start somewhere. It's 100 breaches, over 101 breaches of these transfer systems and the rest. So let's see. Let's start with the first 10. Let's know what happened in the first 10. Then we enter the next 10. Who knows what could happen? There's no point saying it's going to be 4 years. That's the way I say it.
090-TT23-1011 and 0817-624-856. If we take a look at the transfer situation and the injury situation of some key clubs in the Premier League right now, we're back on the phone lines. Good afternoon, Tab Ghana. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mario and Hachi.
Right.
Mario, I was highly disgusted yesterday watching the Madrid and Al-Hali. Could you imagine local champion, African champion? They have been winning the African Champion League back to back, just like Man City. I wonder what they gave to Madrid. Hello, Madrid.
I can hear you. I'm gonna go.
They gave Madrid so much respect. Madrid are not on top. They isolated the pen on Super Sub. They could have took the game. That's what the game. In fact, I wasn't happy.
All right.
Let them go to the drawing board. I wish they should not qualify next year. Let another African team qualify.
All right.
Thank you, Sam.
They've been the most regular team at the Club World Cup representing Africa. Thank you very much, Tab Ghana. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Hello. Or do all to call us back if you can. Good afternoon, football fan. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, Larry. Good afternoon, Brighton. From above.
All right, go ahead, Augusta.
My brother, ever since you guys, I was really to reach out to you. There sometimes I couldn't go to, some people calling to the show. Right. I really miss guys. Some years ago, because of that analysis that, really, boost my love for Planet FM when it comes to talk sports. But, well, the day God announced that he will not, be there again, I was like crying, I was feeling so emotional. But I really thank God that, when he left there with a good legacy and, going forward for, for his career, I think God will isolate him and guide him to achieve whatever ambition he have for himself. My brother, my City problem, well, I'm a fan of good football. And Man City play good football. I will not want them to, be get to championship or whatever. And the FA, to investigate and get the point, I think will be a good one. And then we still want to see them in the Premier League.
All right.
Because, Man City, they really, make the Premier League so, so sweet and so fun. So we to do in the league. Thank you for having me.
All right,
please,
thank
Mary,
you.
You do football. Please help me to, I want to make social distance so that I can follow him online. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Just search for that name on Facebook. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Name and location.
This is Radio Senator. Only for doing here.
The Senator, welcome.
And what I just believe is that I just know what is going on now. I want Leeds to beat Mayu. And Arsenal win their game with Brentford. Anyway, our 8 points will not play. And I'm praying for people to record that either 8 points or 15 points from Man City. I don't want it to go to relegation. That's what I will say. For all those who say that Arsenal will not collect league this season, they are just deceiving themselves.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, the Senator from Radio. All right, well, Blyden, here's a story. Tottenham have said that they have no intentions of selling Harry Kane to any Premier League rival, and that includes Manchester United. We know the story that United have been looking for a striker, and they've outlined Victor Osimhen and Harry Kane. And the Tottenham Hotspur board are saying, well, Harry Kane is not for sale. Well, Harry Kane has scored loads of goals in the Premier League, but no trophy to go for it. And going to United at least affords him a better chance at a trophy as compared to Tottenham Hotspur as a player. What would you advise Harry Kane to do right now? Because, lots of people think that the goals would amount to nothing if there's no single trophy to go with it, Blyden.
Well, I think he's the highest goal scorer for them. Such history is hard with Tottenham, scoring 200 Premier League goals, and it makes a lot of sense. In backing all out as the number 3 in the ranking, and then share number 1, I think 268 goals in the English Premier League, and Wayne Rooney number 2, 208, and it's so close to passing Wayne Rooney. I think he'll do that probably next season if he still stays in the English Premier League. But I think in the long run, it's going to be hard selling Harry Kane to a Premier League side. We saw that debacle some time ago. Harry Kane didn't turn up for training, wanted to move, and it didn't happen at that time. I do not think it's going to happen this time. His age is increasing. He's moving up.
There's also a conversation, Blyden. We've seen cases where players force a move out of a club. They do everything possible to move out of the club. And most people think that Harry Kane is just so comfortable at Tottenham that he's not been able to force enough. Do you think it's a case of Harry Kane being comfortable at Tottenham, or it's a case of the man not being able to force a move out of the club?
Well, I think it's a case of teams that are really decent, ready for his signature. That's it for me.
Well, City were ready last season before they go Haaland. City were ready to get this man in. That's why he didn't come for training for a couple of days. But of course, it didn't work out because Daniel Levy said Harry Kane is not for sale and he never left.
And that's it. You're playing for a club. It's like someone who's employed. So your employer has a say. As long as we're paying you this money at this time, you have to do certain things. And that's basically what happened with Harry Kane at the time. You can't bend the rules like that. You can only make a demand. At that point, he met the demand, was open enough, and the fans love him. He's been there from his childhood when he was 11, thereabout, and he's been the biggest star for that club. So it was a hard period for Harry Kane. And look at the demands. The demands is not just you as a player, the fans, what you've done for this club, yes. And who says he can be a one club player? Maybe that could be where Harry Kane is going.
The conversation here is trophies. Because the best of the best. When you want to count your achievements as a football player, we talk about trophies first before we talk about your individual achievements. And for Harry Kane, for that kind of striker he's been in the Premier League for the past how many years, there's no trophy to show for it. Don't you think that's a little sad?
I think many years to come, we won't really remember the trophies, team trophies. That's the way I say it.
Really?
Yeah, because you look at some of the players.
Which is easier to remember if you want to talk about a legend right now.
Personal
remember.
records.
Personal record.
Yeah.
Or trophies won for the team.
Personal records.
Really?
Yes. Right now, while you're an active player, we can talk about, he's won a trophy, Let's look at history.
But
when you want to talk,
if you want to talk, right now, Blyden, I can tell that lots of football fans cannot remember the exact number of goals Pelé scored, in football.
No, they do.
Football fans know.
Yeah, they do.
85% of football fans do not know that. What they remember first is the fact that he won 3 World Cup titles.
World Cup is just different. That's the way I say it.
That's just, we're talking trophies.
Nobody gets to mention Pele's league cups. Nobody gets to mention it. Yeah. Nobody gets to mention it. World Cup is in a class of its own. I understand
but it's a trophy too.
Yes,
it's a trophy.
It's the biggest trophy in the world.
It's a trophy actually. So it comes through.
But
let's come back home. Let's come back home to you. You want to talk about let's drag a little closer. See Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance. Apart from the Ballon d'Or he's won, you talk about the fact that he's won the Champions League, he's won the La Liga titles, he's won the Serie A, and then he's also won the Premier League title. That would form the basis for conversation. For Lionel Messi, it's the same thing. The La Liga titles, the Copa del Rey titles, the Spanish Cup titles, the Champions League titles. But for Harry Kane, he scored goals, but no trophies. Which would fans remember first? Clearly the trophies.
Here's it, Mari. Let me put it clear.
Yeah.
Here's the point. While Ronaldo is still playing football, comparatively with some other players like Messi, you can mention, he's won a trophy. But when Ronaldo retires, the first thing we talk about will be, he's won 5 Ballon d'Or. Messi, he's won 7 Ballon d'Or. Personal trophies. That's it for me. Well, personal records.
How many? How many of that will we talk about Harry Kane?
Yeah, in the history of Premier League football, when you talk about Alan Shearer, we don't mention trophies. We say he's the highest goal scorer in the English Premier League. When you talk about, I can ask 1,001 players, you can't even remember the trophies they won.
Right. So, what stands for you?
But the first thing, for example, if I mentioned Pablo Nedved, the first thing that would come to mind was that, finally he won the European Best Player of the Year. If you mention Jorginho, the first thing, like in the conversation, no matter how you want to look at it, Jorginho won the European Footballer of the Year. Well, so personal records are also important when you retire. I'm not saying trophies are not important. It's necessary for a player because, come on, you can't get personal records without winning some trophies. It adds up the conversation. But what I'm trying to say is this. What Harry Kane has done to football, and football is enough moving forward. Maybe he can go to a club that gets to win a trophy. It just be an add-on. But the perspective the goals he scored, for me, it's enough what he's done for football.
Good afternoon, football fan.
Hello.
Welcome.
Mari.
Alan.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Welcome, Alan, just go ahead already.
So, I want to talk about the conversation there. Harry Kane supposed to have lived Scotland for a long time because after all the goals and everything, there is no credit to any trophy or anything. Last season, Man City went for him, but the guy refused to leave Scotland. And even though you don't want to play in England, this thing, what of outside clubs? You're supposed to move around. There's no way you can stay in one club and retire. And for my Man City, those people that are wishing them to withdraw 15 points, God will not allow that to us. Very well. So that the Premier League, it can turn around because we have 2 legs with it. The final between Arsenal and Man U, which one?
All right. Thank you very much, Holland. All right, so let's head to Facebook, the live feed particularly, and take some comments from there. Godwin George says Chelsea all the way. Says we're enjoying fans attack. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. You're back on the phone lines right now. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please talk to us.
Good afternoon, Mary. When I'm not hearing you, but I believe you can hear me.
Please go ahead.
I believe Tottenham is a perfect place Now, let me ask you, Mary, if you are talking about Rashid Yekini in Nigerian football, you remember that the it's not a trophy. But when you are talking about trophy-winning players in Nigeria, that's when you saw Mikel and Kano Wanko. But that doesn't dispute the fact that Rashid Yekini is number one. So that is what we are talking about here. So actually, I know your knowledge in the studio that Hurricane, when it comes to football, it is a personal accolade, not the trophy.
Thank you. Thank you.
For having
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your thoughts appreciated. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mary.
Welcome. Name and location. All right.
To me, trophy to me is important because when you have a child, you have a conversation with him. I was a player. He will not ask you how many goals did you score. What you ask for the trophy. From the trophy and the medal, that's when you prove to him that he was a player and this what he was. So to me, a return scoring more goals doesn't come in today. You should look for even if one trophy, even if you go to say, you must have been a Canada club, then you can go Carabao,
all right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your thoughts appreciated. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Well, you know what to do. You're supposed to turn on the volume on your radio set. Well, Blighted, let's talk about the injury situation of us. Now they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 injury concerns, particularly Gabriel Jesus is out with a knee problem. Return date is on the 4th of March. Reece Nelson has a thigh injury. Return date is later this weekend. Amos Withrow has a thigh problem. The return date is later this weekend. Mohamed Al-Neni has got a knee injury and there's no return date yet. Well, for Chelsea, it's quite a long list. Oh, my God. Armando Broja is out. Christian Pulisic, N'Golo Kante, Wesley Fofana, Mateo Kovacic, Dennis Zakaria, and Edward Mendy. Liverpool, it's Luis Diaz, Arthur Melo, Ibrahima, Diogo Jota, Roberto Firmino, Virgil van Dijk, and Fabio Tavares all out for Liverpool. And none of these players are returning later this weekend, sadly, for Liverpool. Well, for City, it's just John Stones out, set to return next month, and Phil Foden out as well to return later this weekend. For Manchester United, Donny van de Beek is out, no return date yet. Christian Eriksen is out to return later in April. There's Carlos Casemiro suspended, by the way. Scott McTominay is out. Anthony Martial, Anthony Dos Santos, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Mason Greenwood. Well, thank you, Blighted. That's it for the show this afternoon. We'll do this again 7:30 in the morning tomorrow and 3 to 4 p.m. later in the afternoon. We'll talk about the biggest stories making rounds in this sporting world. By 4 o'clock, we'll have the news on the hour with Naira Udom, and from there, Raymond Ita comes through with touchdown. Every single reason to keep it out slotted on Planet's Radio 101.1 FM. Well, until then, you want to enjoy the rest of the day's broadcast. My name is Marizuna, and I'm out. Ciao, ciao.
Bring